All right, now everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you learned something. Let's jump right into it here. It's that time of year, it's about August here, and your air conditioner is going to be working really hard. Now my air conditioner, I got to charge it about every 3 years or so. It seems to want to run low. There are no leak reporting or leak repair requirements on these smaller home air conditioning systems under 5 pounds or whatever. You'll learn that in your certification. So I first want to say that I needed to charge my air conditioner, and you need to have an EPA 608 certification to do that. So I went ahead and I got my 608 certification. I'll probably put that on the screen right now or sometime. But I want to go ahead and tell you, you can get that done very cheaply. I used a site called SkillCat. Now, I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I want to go ahead and give them a shout out because they basically offer a free service. You can get a free 3-day trial at SkillCat and get in and resource all kinds of training and trade school resources. You can learn to do AC work, HVAC, ducting, brazing. There's all kinds of electronics and everything. You can learn all kinds of stuff. So you have 3 days for free to do this, and I actually got my certificate within the 3-day trial period. What I would recommend doing if you want to try to do that is go on YouTube or online, most likely YouTube, and you can start your studying online. I would study for a few days as long as you want. You could study for weeks if you wanted to. There's all kinds of HVAC 608 study guides on YouTube. So just start watching them, start familiarizing yourself with the terminology and the things you're going to need to know. Now, one bit of caution. Some of those videos are old, over 10 years old, and the laws do change. For example, I just saw yesterday the fines, and this is why I did this, but the fines for handling or servicing refrigerant machinery used to be, I think it was $37,000 something back 10 years ago, but somewhere in the late around 2017 or 2019, and again, don't quote me on that. I hate to get into facts because I don't have them in front of me, but in the last 5 or so years, they changed that number. Now the fines are $44,500 every day for mishandling refrigerant. So it can get quite expensive, and they take it quite seriously. And now if you report somebody, you can get up to $10,000, or basically I think $10,000. I don't know what the process for that is. They probably have to prosecute somebody and get the fine and then come back and pay you. So it could probably take some time. But that's why I am shocked at the amount of violations that are on YouTube. And these are violations that are recorded on camera and being broadcast to the public, and they have hundreds of thousands of views. And some of these people have EPA 608 licenses, and they should know better than this, and they aren't getting the $44,000 fines. But because of the severity of that, and the reward that people could get for turning you in, I wanted to get my 608 certification and feel good about myself and know that I'm in the clear. It's not hard to do. Like I said, it took me about 3 to 5 days. You can get it done on SkillCat for free. Now, if you go over the 3-day period, it's like $10 a month. So it's not even a big deal. If you wanted to pay the $10, you could have all of those resources every month and learn how to do all kinds of electrical wiring, soldering, brazing, whatever. So it's a good deal. I'm just giving them a shout out because I got mine for free, and you can print your card and everything in that 3-day period. They email it to you. You can download it, print it. But if you want them to send you in the mail a personalized EPA card, it's $59 now. So I didn't do that because, I mean, I downloaded it all, and it has the QR code on it. You can scan it, check the verification, everything. You can print it, keep it with you. You can keep a copy on your phone, keep a copy on your computer. I don't see a reason to have a little a card that may be printed on maybe it's just printed on better cardstock paper or something. So I didn't pay $60 for the card, but you have it digitally, and you can do whatever you want to with it. So just kind of talking here, this is just going to kind of be an overview of my experience. I do have my certification. Now, one of the things that I learned is when you order like a kit like this online and it'll come with a simple gauge and like a hose like this, there's people all over the internet using these things, and this in itself poses some problems and is most likely a violation. If you read this hose that I got, for example, when I purchased a kit, it says right here on it, R134A charging hose, 3000 psi burst pressure, 600 psi max pressure. So this hose is for charging 134A. 134A is the refrigerant you're going to find in automobile, in your air conditioning in the car and automobiles, mobile units. So like this can right here, 134A, and I would caution, because the new refrigerants are a new refrigerant. I think it's 1234YF is what it went to. But anything after a certain date is not going to have 134A in it anymore. So if you go into AutoZone and think you're going to charge your unit or whatever, you need to check your vehicle's owner's manual, make sure you're getting the right refrigerant. When I checked on AutoZone last, they now have a warning up that says only for 134A, make sure it's the right refrigerant. So most people will be aware. But if you walk into the store on the shelf, there may just be cans of this, you might grab one. So make sure you check that is even changing. R134 is a greenhouse gas, so they're even phasing that out. They're trying to move to new refrigerants. And I can't believe they haven't found the perfect refrigerant. Just apparently doesn't exist yet. The chemists haven't found it yet, but the new ones are not harmful to the environment or as harmful, but they're flammable. So the new air conditioning units, from what I've heard, now have to have certain detectors, leak detectors and evacuation equipment and things. That way if it leaks, they could explode because they're flammable. So the new, like the propanes and the isobutanes and some of these newer coolants and refrigerants and blends and things, they're not as harmful for the environment, but they're flammable and they could explode. So if your house blows up, that's not as big of a deal, apparently. But yeah, so the new AC systems, you're going to have to learn how to also install the leak detectors and all of that come along with the flammable. Because if you got a furnace in there and your refrigerant is leaking, it could cause an explosion. So this is your 134A. Now it comes with its own charging hose and everything. And this may be a low loss fitting in here. I'm not sure what they classify that as, but that's the other thing with these hoses. These hoses are sold all over the place and used widely on the internet, and they do not have low loss fittings on the end. These are just standard AC, I think it's 1/4 inch. It's done by the inner diameter is what but according to the EPA and your EPA 608 certification, a de minimis loss is only considered de minimis if you're using low loss hoses. So if you don't have low loss fittings on your hose and you hook it up, that right there is a violation. You got to have low loss fittings on your hoses. So I don't even know why they're selling this, but I think it's because with 134A in your air conditioner or your vehicle air conditioner, there's an exemption for cans under 2 pounds you're allowed to sell. So everybody's kind of using these little loopholes to patch together systems. If you're under 2 pounds, like this can right here is 1.25 pounds. That's legal under the exemption. But it comes with its own hose. However, there could be somebody that sells a can like this that's 2 pounds of 134A, and you could use a standard hose for it, and I guess it falls under the exemption. But if you take this hose and hook it to an R22 unit, you're now in violation. You don't have low loss fittings, and there's people all over YouTube doing that. I would imagine even if you hooked it to like a 410A and you had a larger cylinder, that would probably be a violation too. So go ahead, get you some good gauges with low loss fittings on them, and you'll be compliant there to go now. So like a can like this, you need to dispose of it properly, and I want to take my certification seriously. Once you have it for life, so that's a good thing. You might want to get some continuing education. If you're not using it all the time and you go out once every 3 years to charge your unit, do a little refresher, read up on it, make sure you're fresh, hook up to the low side line, of your system, the suction line, all of that. These valves are, I believe, I'm pretty sure these recyclable throwaway cylinders have a one-way valve. So even if you were to hook to the high side, I don't think the high pressure can come back in and fill up this container and blow it up. Plus these type have a relief valve. Now if you were to use a can like this and plug it to your high side, you could blow it up, and big problem. I mean, that could blow up in your hands and your face and be a big problem, cause frostbite all over your body. So there's all kinds of different cans and things out in the world. So if you do something dumb and you buy an R22, some old can that was been sitting around for 15 years, and you plug it up to your high side and blow yourself up, that's on you. This video is for informational purposes only. So like I said, I want to take my certification serious. When you're done with the can like this, or even like this, I would probably recommend taking it to a licensed refrigerant facility that's capable of disposing or recycling of refrigerants. You can get on Google, whatever your local town is, just Google refrigerant recycling or refrigerant places, dumps, trash dumps, whatever. There's all kinds of them. There's several around town. I think there's even pop-up hazardous material disposal workshops or whatever throughout the year. A couple times a year they might have a little pop-up hazardous waste disposal thing the city might sponsor, and you can take hazardous waste to it. You could probably throw it away at something like that. So that's one of the things with getting the certification. Go ahead, get your low loss hoses, throw your refrigerant away at a licensed refrigerant handling facility, and that's basically a big part of being responsible. So even a can like this, it is exempt under 2 pounds. So if this was empty, you could probably throw this in the trash technically. This 134A, as of right now in 2025, is exempt. And the public can walk into any store, Walmart, AutoZone, whatever. And I may put a link in here if you want to charge your AC system. I might put a link to Walmart or something. That'd be a good little shopping link. So for 25 bucks, you can recharge your automobile's refrigerant. And I hate to think every day how many people go into a repair facility, whether it be a car dealer or a third party or whatever. And if you're low on refrigerant, they probably just tell you need to replace the whole thing. It happens all the time. It's a $25 repair. You can do it at home. There's videos on YouTube that show you how to do that. This port right here will only connect it to one fitting. You can't really mess up. It only fits the right hose, so the right pipe or the right line, whatever you want to call it. So you can't really mess up. Turn your car on, run the AC, and pump a little refrigerant in there. I've had to repair my truck like that a couple times, and I hate to think what they would charge me if I took that to the dealer. They would probably tell me I need a new compressor, and it would be $900 at least. So I think I've covered most of it. I went ahead and got my certification. I would recommend doing that. It's good for life. The refrigerants are changing, but you basically will never have to pay a repairman again. This R22 is getting crazy. You're looking at some cases, some companies are charging over $1,200 to recharge an R22 unit, which is just basically highway robbery. They're just ripping you off because R22 is not being manufactured anymore, but there's all kinds of reclaimed refrigerant out there. You can go online and Google it and find these cans readily available. I'm not gonna put any information on where to buy this stuff, but you can find it on Google, and it's only going to get more expensive. So this was $99 is what I paid for this, free shipping. It was an awesome deal, and I got extra. So in the future, in the coming years, I'm good to go for the next 5 to 6 years or so, whatever. And I may go ahead and buy some more because it's just getting crazy. But yeah, so if you call a repair guy out, you know what they have a minimum, usually just a fee just to come out, which is usually like 90 bucks or something. And then they're charging hundreds of dollars a pound for R22. And if I can buy this as a consumer full retail for $99, if somebody's charging $300 or $400 a pound, and they're a big refrigeration company that does it every day, they're ripping you off. But at the same time, I don't want to be too mean to the refrigeration people, because the air conditioning companies, because they do need to make money, and I will say that the margins are tough to, when you really start doing this on a large level, it takes a lot of tools. I've thought about, now that I have my 608, listing myself online and being able to go out and recharge systems and that type of thing. But when you really do the math, it's going to cost you, $1,000 or more in basic tools. I mean, you're going to have refrigerant in stock, because people are going to want you the same day. You're going to have multiple types of refrigerant. You could end up wanting to buy a recovery cylinder so you can take your empties and recover them, and then you get into that. That's hundreds of dollars. You need a nice set of gauges. A set of digital gauges is $750, $800. Now you can get nice quality standard gauges for $150, $200 or something, which is, you get a Yellow Jacket or something like that. They're good gauges. You're certainly fine with those. But then you also never know what goes wrong. If you go out in the field and you pull a hose off and a valve stem breaks and all the coolant spews out of the system, you got to have a core removal tool, replace the cores. You got to have all that stuff available. So if you're an air conditioning guy, I'm just thinking, if I were to go out and recharge a system, what would I charge? Well, I would need at least $200 or $300 to make it worth my time, and I'd have to recoup $1,000 worth in tools and inventory and that type of thing. So even as a bare bones minimum, just recharge service, you would still have to charge, like I said, I mean, if you charge $200, this right here is $99, and you got a set of gauges and your time and an hour or so to go out and look and do it, and an hour. So I would charge probably at least $200, probably like $300. But the AC companies are charging closer to $1,000 or more, and it just gets ridiculous. But so there is something to be said for the amount of tools that you need, and the knowledge and the courses and all of that. I will say that I don't want to be totally dogging them, but I personally feel like it's too much. I've also replaced the capacitors on my air conditioning unit. The guy wanted I think he wanted $800 basically to recharge or to change a capacitor, replace a capacitor. And I got online on Lowe's and I pulled it up with the proper voltage and everything requirements. It's like $12.99 at Lowe's, $12. The capacitors are cheap. I just had to do my fan motor capacitor in my air conditioning too. And I'm rambling on and on, I know, but it was $7.99 at Walmart. You can get that capacitor. Now, you did have to get it mailed. It took 5 days, so I had 5 days without air conditioning, but I paid $7.99 versus $700 or $800. And I showed that guy my computer. I said $800. It was like $789.94 or something he wanted. And I said that capacitor is $11.99. And then he said, well, I got one on the truck that's used. It's $200. I could get it installed with labor and everything for like $300. And I told him to go ahead and do that, because he had a minimum charge of like $90 anyways just for making the service run. So I was going to pay $90, and it was either $200 or something for him to do the work. So I just said go ahead and do it, because it was done. It was done by a professional. It was done that day. I would have still had to have ordered the capacitor, waited for it to be shipped, then done the work. And so I just said do it that time, because I already was spending $90 for the basic fee. But anyways, those companies, you can make pretty good money being an AC repairman, but you do have to have a lot of inventory when you start getting, like the recovery cylinders. You have to have a separate recovery cylinder for every type of refrigerant you use. So one for R22, one for 410A, so all of that is money, having separate cylinders, and you got to have them inspected every 5 years and all of that. So it's a big deal, and it takes quite a bit of inventory. But anyways, I think I've about covered it. I just wanted to talk about that. If you're going to recharge your system, you can do it. You can go out and plug into the low side of your system and throttle in some coolant. You need to have low loss hoses to be in compliance with that. I've already talked about it all, so I did a pretty good job of covering most of the things. This isn't a hands-on how-to if you get your 608 license, you will know how to recharge a system, and you'll be familiar with the components, how an air conditioner works, where the refrigerant is at various stages in the cycle as it goes through the condenser coil, as it enters the metering unit, as it goes through the evap coil, all that. You'll learn all the different phases of that and how it transitions and why you need to plug into the low side. Something else, as far as retrofitting R22 units, there's also a lot of information on YouTube about what they call a drop-in replacement for R22. And I got to tell you, from learning what I've learned, it's not a good situation. It's not as easy as they are saying it is. Those are companies that are trying to sell something. Retrofitting, I can see why they would basically just quote you a new price for a new system instead of retrofitting. The oils are not the same in all these different refrigerants. The oils that the compressor uses are not compatible. This is R22, it's alkyl benzene, and the newer refrigerants use different oils. So, for example, to purge that oil, if you were going to try to get that oil out of the system, it's oil in the lines. You have to get that oil out of the compressor, drain it out of there somehow. And then I saw one video of a guy who was a certified teacher. He said you have to flush the oil 3 times. So you would have to hook the compressor back up, rebraze the lines together, pressurize the system, run it, and then disconnect it all, recover the refrigerant, and then rebraze it. You'd have to do that 3 times to try to flush all that oil out of the lines. Then you could go back in and put your new coolant in. So for that much labor and everything, they just quote you a new system in most cases. Plus you probably have a 20-year-old system, and then you just put new refrigerant in it. All your other components are 20 years old. So the EPA course actually tells you specifically, and mine was, I had like 2 different pages of it. It told me very clearly there is no drop-in replacement for R22. Retrofitting a unit revolves, like I said, trying to get that oil out of the system, replacing the compressor. All kinds of retrofitting has to go on. The seals and all that type of thing may not be compatible with the type of oil. That could break the seals down, so you could be changing seals, pulling oil out. It's a big mess, and most people are not going to spend that kind of work just to change refrigerants. So there's also that. If you think of anything else, put it in the comments. I tried not to get too specific because, like I said, these laws can change over time. If you're watching this 10 years from now, the fines may have went up again. Some of these laws, the exemption on this 2-pound can of 134A, they may not even be able to use 134A anymore in 10 years from now. So anyways, I hope you learned something. If you're going to do your own work, I would go ahead and spend the time. Just get the certification. You don't want a huge fine. I didn't want that hanging over my head. It's good for life. You can get it for free. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.